All right. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. Good to be back with you with a fun, different topic today. I am pulling from my little stash of extremely valuable, resourceful people that I work with on the channel, both in terms of my private paying clients, the financial astrology research that I do. And this is someone that I've worked with for over a year now. We've been in classes together. I'm excited to share her and what she has to offer with you, and in a very unique, different viewpoint on astrology that has to do with health in the body. One of the topics I'm going to get into a lot more in the future is this concept of the four angles of the chart. And the importance of the four angles really comes into the fact that you hear, whether it's entrepreneurs, marketers, whoever's out there promoting or preaching something, it's going to fall into the bracket of health, wealth, relationships, or career, right? And so the four angles really touch on those things. And what we're focusing on today is health, the body, medicine, medical astrology. And we have an actual certified nurse here who's been in the field, who's done the practice, and does research with me as well at the company. My friend, Krisztina, welcome. How are you today?
Hi, Sama. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's really an honor to be here. I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Glad to have you. So obviously people want to know a little bit more about who you are. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into medical astrology.
All right. So first of all, I'm certified and I have a master and bachelor from nursing, and I'm specialized for psychiatric nursing. I've been on the field for 5 years. And after that, I became a special educational teacher and a drama therapist. And then later on in the institution, I was like really overwhelmed. I saw a lot of like mistake what they are doing actually by, pharma and pharmaceutical drugs. And I was like, all right, so that's not going to be the field I'm gonna go on. And then I moved to America. So I couldn't.
So you said, hold on, mistakes with big pharma, pharmaceuticals?
Yes. So there was one of my professor actually who was like, okay, so no matter what the patient going to heal from, the most important, if they believe in marijuana, let them hear from marijuana. If they believe in meditation, let them hear from meditation. But that was the only one person I worked with. He was already 90 by that age. God bless him, he died. But then later on, everyone who I work with, they did never believed in astrology or meditation or whatever. And obviously they used, SSRIs and like very, very harsh methods in healing, Western medicine. And I mean, I'm not going to deny Western medicine over here because many times it will help. And you have to combine with holistic. And, the body is really, it's a holistic approach. And, like you need to meditate, you need to use your herbs. You can use your Western medicines as well. But, that's holistic. And the approach that I use, it's holistic. Yes. So I moved out from there and I came to America, and I couldn't practice over here because, like citizenship and papers and whatever, whatever challenges I had at the beginning. So I was like, okay, I'm going to transfer my massage therapy degree. And I did so. But after that, I was like, no, I'm not going to back to nursing anymore. I'm going to become an herbalist. And I call myself a wheat specialist, actually, but I became an herbalist and I studied astro-herbalism, but astrology didn't came from, first I was a palmist because it's palmist and, grandma and everybody had intuition. So when
could you repeat that? You said first you were a palmist.
Yes. So it came from palmistry, and palmistry actually is based on astrology.
Okay, so the two are related. All right.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
So can you explain how that works? Because it makes sense that they're related, right? I mean, here in the West, you can see like I saw more of this when I was younger, right? You might see like these little shops on the side of the road where it's like palmistry and astrology reading, right? And so the two together, I remember just being young, seeing that, like, well, that's not real, or that must just be some kind of like magic show kind of a thing. Why don't you explain a little bit how the two are related and how
So
palmistry works?
unfortunately, the palmistry and even astrology get a very, very bad reputation because there is a lot of charlatan. You know, they are popping up like mushroom after heavy rain. That's the issue with it, and they have no real knowledge behind. That's why it's very important, even if you are going to someone with medical astrology, they're going to have knowledge with herbalism, and they can give you remedies as well right away, or they have at least a nursing degree and they know what are they talking about. But palmistry, yes. So there it is. Here is your palm, right? Do you see that? And every single line and every single month over here is related to some kind of, so for example, here is your Saturn finger. Here is your Jupiter finger. And here is Apollo, the sun. This is Mercury related. So we're not going to talk about, and I'm not going to give a whole lecture about palmistry, but that is deeply related. And when I realized that, then I started to study astrology. And first I was just reading and, you know, watching YouTube shows, whatever, but reading, because back then you didn't have YouTube. So I just went and I did my research and I bought a lot of books. And that's how I started astrology, but it is deeply related. And one thing, when I was actually in the mental hospital, and actually I was a drama therapist and a psychiatric nurse with young children, then I saw a little boy whose behavior was very, very troubling. And, you know, he had a lot of issues. So he was in my group and I was a leader already at age 23 in that private hospital and mental hospital. And what's happened, you know, it's after the communism, it was still socialist, Hungary, whatever, you know, it was very hard actually to talk to your professor. Hey, you know, I actually saw something in the child hand because we did an artwork and I assume this kid is abused by an authority figure because his Saturn line from here went to Pluto. And I was like, oh, there is an authority figure in his life who is, you know, like actually abusing him. It could be sexual or it could be very hard and physical. And of course, I've been told I have to shut up because I could lose my job. You know, there is like, and I'm a very valuable nurse and teacher, and please don't do that. But, you know, I was young, so I didn't really care about the consequences. I was like, all right, whatever, I have or not. But, you know, I can get another job because, you know, like you young, at 20s, you young. And then you know what's happened? They anyway changed the therapy and they found that the father was a very, very high position, also military, whatever. Of course, there was an abuse. So they found out and they have the kid. The kid probably is in the 30s right now, early 30s right now. But they have, and you know, then the behavior and everything. So if you know the right answer, and I saw that only from the palm because back then, I didn't even know what time the child born. I knew his birthday and I was like, are you a Scorpio, darling? Because of the way he behaved, everything. And can you believe that back then he knew the answer and he said, actually, yes, I'm November 4th and I'm a Scorpio. How did you know that? And I was like, well, there is some kind of, you know, characteristic in your behavior, which was like, it's a Scorpio, but also I saw the palm. And then I saw the lines, it's Plutonian energy, it could be sexual, or it could be something underworldly. And that's how we found out. But many times it came to the head. Many times when you cannot diagnose something, or when they misdiagnose something, it is like amazing. Astrology comes to hand. It's very handy because right away you check the chart and you are like, something is hidden. There could be an Epsom bar here, you know, like go and get the blood test, even if the doctors say it's not, go ahead. And eventually it's what am I saying?
Right. So if there's misdiagnosis or difficulty diagnosing, medical astrology is actually a really good fit for those types of situations because it can bring clarity to what we otherwise might not be able to see, right? And so that's what you're talking about when you say it's a holistic approach that we need we don't want to get rid of Western medicine, right? If
Absolutely not.
you break an arm, it's not like a bunch of tea leaves might help me.
No, no,
I
no,
might want to
no.
cast, right? I might want some of that good old Western healthcare, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to these, like, oh, they're looking at their checklist. They have this symptom, that symptom, this symptom. It's a cold. Let's take some cold medicine, kind of a thing where we can see deeper than the symptoms. We can actually potentially see the root of these things and the astrological effects that actually play out in the life of the native, right? So I think there's a lot of value in what you're talking about. And I can see why there's so much interest in that in particular from being a nurse and what you're seeing. So that's really cool.
And prevention is very important. So if you are working with a client for a long time, you are capable to see that and foresee things. And, in my case, actually, that, but I'm telling to the viewers right now, I'm a medium also, and a clairvoyant. So I do see and I do feel a lot of things, because I was a stillborn and the gate stayed open. At the beginning, I didn't know what's going on. I was really, really scared. I'm a Pisces sun. I was scared of everything. But eventually I realized, oh my God, holy moly, like I do see and I do feel the spirits. That's scary. That's otherworldly. But I started to work with it. And as older we get, like there is like, all right, that's what we deal with and it's all right. And intuition is very important. But to me, it's not coming all the time like other people claiming they are open all the time. To me, I realized when I eat very clean, like mostly fruit, then is my intuition and my prophetic dreams are like, oh my God, what just happened? I dreamed about Turkey and the earthquake. And I mentioned that on social media many times. There is gonna be, like then the dreams are very, very vivid and it's like lucid and it's really real. So I do have a lot of prophetic dreams. I cannot control that. I call my clients sometimes and I say, listen, I did see that and that. Would you please go and check it out? And then she's like, all right, can you check my chart? And then let's see if it's working, like if you can confirm that also with astrology. And I am like checking the chart. Somebody is with breast issues. And I was like, I saw a huge grave, something around your chest. And she was like, can you check it? And I said, yes, I checked, and it was breast related. So she fell with the bicycle and she had a huge gray something around the breast. And I said, no, it's not that. Can you go back, please? Because there is a major cyst over there. And then, she went and it's taken care of. So yes, it is, but medical astrology is like really, for example, I had a client and she worked in a strip bar, she worked like a cocktail waitress. And I told her, I was like, listen, I see in your chart, Mercury was actually going retrograde on her natal Mars. And on the fourth house. Fourth house is ending death also, not just, family matters. And I was like, all right, can you please make sure? And it was squaring Neptune. And I was like, holy moly, could be an accident, but under influence. And then it was another Mars-related situation, and then Saturn was opposing and to Mars. And I was like, there is something with your restriction of the body movement also, and it could be a red car. I was like, do you have a red car, darling? No, I have a white Volvo, she said. I was like, okay, do you drive under influence? No, I'm not drinking, I'm not using drugs. I was like, all right. I was like, would you please make sure you don't even take painkiller, because I see some kind of accident over here. God forbid, I don't want to, talk that into you, because you have to really be careful with your words. You can be radical enough, brutally honest, or beautifully polished. You still have to say the message, stay authentic, but be careful with the words and wording. And I was like, just make sure. So guess what? The girl had an accident. But then I saw that later on in the chart, there was a Jupiterian, Neptunian energy, like a miraculous healing. And I was like, okay, somehow this girl a year later going to be okay. So this girl get in coma. But when she came back 18 months later, she couldn't walk. She had to start and learn to walk again. And when she came back to me, she said, Kristi, I did remember what you said. And the moment I saw the, guess what kind of color car? Red car. So the red car ran into her. It was not her car, but that's what she had the accident with. And who was under influence? The man. And it was a politician. So it was very hard. He didn't get the right justice though. But the girl got well and got paid out a lot of insurance. And because of it was 8-house matter, I also said somehow financially you will come out very well. And it was over $1 million paid out to her. So it was like insane. But astrology, guys, it's like many times it takes my breath away. However, intuition, Sama, is very important because, you know, a lot of aspects could be interpreted differently.
Absolutely.
And the intuition, what will you say first? You know, that's, and then they are like, holy moly, how did she knows my life? She had a camera in my room. So, you know, that's very, very important. Intuition comes very handy and mediumship when what to start with.
Yeah.
When you interpret the chart. So yes.
That's a very good point. Yeah. It's amazing what the charts can tell you, you know. I'm curious, so you mentioned that you have a long background in healthcare, right? And you've seen how much people aren't necessarily open to things like what you're saying, right? The charts when it comes to Western medicine, because you came to the States and that's the system that you were, you know, nursing under. But you mentioned that there was a gentleman, only one of them, right, that kind of had a understanding of other forms of healing and more of a holistic approach to the body. Could you tell us a little bit more? Let's say, how do I ask this? Tell us about your experiences with him and just what you learned from him, as well as the challenges you had trying to share the wealth of this information in the States or just in that environment when you were doing nursing.
So first of all, this gentleman was a sage. He was a professor. He had a lot of knowledge. And you know what? I realized people who are very smart, they talk very simply. He was a very humble man. And I mean, I always had a grandfather issue. I loved my grandfather like crazy. So I'm very attracted to old men, you know, like Warren Buffett is my favorite to watch. I don't know. I know he is nothing to, he doesn't know about me, obviously. I just love him. He has integrity and knowledge.
There's something to that.
Yeah. You know why, Sama? I tell you why. To me, is very important knowledge and education and knowledge itself and integrity. And if someone has and values and morals, I really, really have that. And common sense, but is missing from people. And if I see someone like that, I'm so attached, like crazily attached to them. But this man was like that. He has integrity, he had values, he had morals. He was always humble and talking so beautifully polished. So it was just like a pleasure to be around that man. And the way he said, and you know, that was like really communism in Hungary. I mean, when I born, it wasn't already, but yeah, it was still, yeah. But you know what, in the 93, it's already been over and you know, but you still couldn't talk about holistic methods, spiritual things, because it's a sacred knowledge. And that's why I never want to convince unbelievers. That's not my place to do that, or not our place, because you, me, and anyone who is on this field, we are giving something sacred from ourselves. And I don't want to convince anyone, but this man, whoever had that kind of open, probably the crown chakra, and connected to his record up there or whatever it was, but he was an amazing healer. And yes, indeed, but many times we are accused wrongfully, you know, like, oh, you know, probably this is like you are making money with bullshit and whatever they are saying. And that's why it's very hard if you are being accused. But many times, 98% of the times, that's my Sagittarius rising, I am right. And I'm not saying I want to see myself right. It feels good. Yes, this is the ego, unfortunately, right? We all have it in this lifetime, so it does feel right. But many times they are coming back and they are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like when they are apologizing, I thought you are talking totally insane. My life, lady with the breast cancer, I was like, go back. She said, no. I was like, but here is your chart, like you have a very hard aspect. Saturn, Jupiter, it was 3 years ago when we had the Saturn, 2020 December, Saturn, Jupiter was actually merging together, and it was on her moon, but it was having some kind of very hard aspect with Pluto was approaching, also it was 23 degrees, something like that, and the hard aspect with her natal Saturn a square, and I was like, darling, you have a breast tumor, you need to go. No, Kristi, I went 2 weeks ago to a mammogram and it didn't show anything, and I was like, would you please go back to an ultrasound? They missed it. And she was like, but I was like, and somehow a spirit, whatever, made me to be a little bit more firm. And I was like, you need to go back. And I didn't want to say that. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be that, but you need to go back. So she did. And you know what's happened? They found a 6-centimeter tumor. It was malignant. They removed everything. So she didn't need chemotherapy, but she needed radiation. She took radiation. And I told her right away, because I'm a professional clinical herbalist, I was like, would you please take that mixture of yarrow, nettle, and calendula, and also horsetail, and like you're going to be fine. But, go to the doctor, always talk to the doctor, guys, whatever. And she did so. And she didn't need chemotherapy. She only needed radiation. So it was an amazing, happy story. She's still my client, and she's always like, oh my God, like it was 10 years ago or 8 years ago, but I'm still alive because of you. I had two weeks ago a mammogram. I would never go back to an ultrasound. They missed it. So that's why it's really important. Very, very, but prevention. I always say that. That's the most important.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really, really beautiful share. And it makes me really think about how your background as a nurse in the West is fusing with your background, in your upbringing and the sage experience that you've had. I'm curious to hear more about this synthesis because similar to me, I have an actual financial background, right? So I'm not just talking about things when I talk about the market, I'm combining that with what is unseen in many ways in the charts themselves. So what's something that, let's say, is a common myth or common misunderstanding with other medical astrologers that you've noticed with your background as a nurse in the West?
Okay, so yes, there is something, for example, if you don't have knowledge and biology knowledge or, nursing knowledge, you are capable to interpret the chart. And there is a lot of amazing people over there who are capable to interpret the chart, but going to say common mistakes. I have, like I'm not going to say names or whatever, but there was on YouTube a lot of astrologers who were talking about medical astrology. And there was like, oh my God, okay, so there is like talking about insulin and what is secreting insulin and totally like missed it. Or, like, and I was like, oh, wow, should I write? Should I, like this is a misinformation. And, even with remedies, they are not capable. If you don't have, for example, astroherbalism or herbalist knowledge, or you are not capable to give them remedies right away, there is like some kind of lack of not professionalism, because actually you are great with maybe medical astrology, but you know, like you don't see the whole picture. And as you are, okay, this is simple. Like Western doctors only going to prescribe medicine. They don't see the whole entire body. It's exactly, if you only know medical astrology, but you don't have knowledge, biology knowledge, or nursing knowledge, or anything like that, you are not capable to give a holistic approach here. That's it. That's simple as it is. And that's why, and you know, as a Feng Shui practitioner, for example, also, and I'm certified from all, massage therapist, crystal healer, name it, I took it because that's how I improve myself, step by step, little by little, studied all the time. I'm still studying, you know, like my children always see me behind the computer and study and doing my certification. But yes, that is the holistic. You need to have an approach of the person. Work with, for example, the doctor here right now in America right now. I have some clients who are going to integrative medicine. There is actually a PhD. There is a doctor who is willing to work with astrologers, believe it or not, willing to work with me. And then, or herbalism, it's more common. They are really asking, even if I take my dog to the vet, she's like, oh, you try this for the dog, you try that, because we have a holistic vet also, and I'm not vaccinating my children. And that is a good story, and I'm just gonna share that quickly. They diagnosed my little one with autism, but we actually spoken 3 languages in the family. So of course the speech would get delayed. And as a special educational teacher and psychiatric nurse, I know, and I knew it's not autism. I knew it is something, so I asked for help. Obviously, I need my child to speak. And he started to speak when around he was 3.5. He was speaking, but it was like a UFO, alien language. He was always looking to your eyes, and he was talking, but nobody understood poor child. But what I realized, and vaccination, right? They say no mercury in it, whatever. I was like, okay. So he got a vaccine, and it was 11 months. He said 6 words by then. And then after that, he stopped. I was like, holy moly, I attracted in. I was always scared of this. So, you know, really watch what you are thinking of, because you attract in. And my son didn't talk after the vaccine. I was like, great, all right, whatever. But I thought it's an apraxia, and I do still believe it's an apraxia. But he's a Gemini rising with Gemini South Node, and it's actually squaring.
Where's his Mercury?
Yes, Mercury and communication. So he was delayed. And you know, South Node is karma.
Relocated. I'm curious. Where is it? Do you remember?
Where is the South Node?
His Mercury's with South Node? Oh, okay. Okay.
No, his Mercury actually is top up in the 10th.
Oh.
So,
yeah, he's going to be a talker.
So he will be later on. And, you know, because of there is a sextile between midheaven, and he has a midheaven of Aquarius. So he will be actually very funny. But, you know, he has a sun in the 12th house with Jupiter. Obviously, he's a Taurus boy, you know, like he's a little bit. And at the beginning, there was an issue with talking. It's squared with Mars and Saturn. So it was a T-square. And that at the vaccination day, March 1st, 2013, there was a very heavy stellium in the 10th house in Pisces. And he has a Pisces Neptune. Neptune is pharmaceutical. It was actually across his moon, his Virgo moon, and I was like, and the Mars is in Virgo. I was like, holy moly, and then he didn't speak. But, you know, we did holistic method because Neptune in the 10th, I was like, all right, holistic. And I did corneosacral because Uranus get involved. Actually, Uranus and Mercury conjunct for him. And it's not in the 10th, it's in the 11th, sorry, right now, because I just got the chart in my head. So that was it. But I was like, okay, this chart gonna be funny. This chart gonna talk. It's apraxia. And you see, everybody said, and they didn't even care to have a diagnosis by a doctor or whatever, you know, just like whoever was a teacher over there. So that is stigma in America. It's like, you know,
well, consciousness will absorb what it's being fed. right? And there's a certain way that doctors are trained in the West. And
Yes,
so you having that experience as well as experience from outside of the West, I think it's very Sagittarian, right? It's a more broader, holistic worldview of there are things from your culture that are beneficial, there are things from the West that are beneficial. And if you don't see all those viewpoints, then there's it's not saying that you're better, but there's the potential to be missing links that other cultures or other parts of your knowledge and background they can fill in the blanks, right? And I find
absolutely.
that that's a common thing between you and I, right? You're talking about it from a medical perspective. I do it from a financial perspective, and part of why we get along and we understand each other is that balancing the art and the science of what we do
Mhm.
combined with a lifelong Jupiterian Sagittarian path of keep studying, keep learning, right? And this isn't necessarily a FDA approved statement, but it sounds like
No,
with
it's not.
vaccinations, there are ways to kind of undo some of the damage potentially, or at least see through an understanding of herbalism, through an understanding of the body,
Mhm.
and looking at the chart to see, well, here's what's actually going on with you. And here's because of what's going on with you, here are all the options available to you, right? Is that a good way to put it?
Yes, absolutely. And when you have more field to be professional on, like for example, when I do a reading, I'm not only going to give a remedy in for example, holistic herbalism, but I also going to say, do you want to wear that crystal? Or if you have an afflicted Venus because you cannot make money or you don't find love, I can also say, get a Venetian stone, or get a jade, or a lapis lazuli for Jupiter. And also feng shui wise, right away I said, okay, so that is this corner for you. Actually, it's troubled because of you don't find love, and put something over there. And I tell the symbol what they need to put, a sculpture, whatever, and or a salt water cure, whatever it is, to help them. So they get a lot. And you know what? It's funny because health is wealth. My grandmother always told me. So actually, medical astrology and financial astrology is very, very similar. Very similar. People, and my grandma said that all the time, God bless her, but like health is wealth. But once I was watching a YouTube podcast from Chris Brennan, and then he was talking with Robert Weinstein. He was a medical astrologer first, and he went to financial. They were analyzing Bitcoin for the future, whatever. And this Robert guy, he's very nice, and he said, yes, you know what, there is a lot of implication between financial and medical. And from 2020 beginning or 2019, when I saw this interview podcast, I started to look into, and I was like, holy moly, oh my
Yeah,
God,
makes a
health
lot of
is
sense.
wealth. Yes, so it
Yeah,
does.
things I do, and there's a particular consultation I used to give, which is all about how do you make more money, right? And I would particularly talk about the second house, which you're familiar with, and how that energizes and takes care of the body, right? Of course, it talks a little bit about family and upbringings and all these other things that we as astrologers know, but that is your energy center. It's the second house, which is earning potential as well. So from an astrological perspective, they are one and the same. The amount of energy you have is what you then go use to earn. And the amount of energy you have it's dollars, not dollars specifically,
But
but
yeah,
money is energy, right? It's
currency.
for a lot of people, it's 2 weeks worth of energy, right? So, it makes so much sense.
But second house, let's see the medical part of that. That is your taste. That is the food you eat, the energy from the food you put into. So it's absolutely correlating. And that's why when I heard him, and, that is so many things over there, which is like, it does make sense. And yes, then when is a plague, the inflation and deflation, and what's
Yeah.
going on with the health field, and and what
The ancient astrology, oh, you
that's very,
froze.
very simple.
Yeah, you're good.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, the ancient astrologers would always say, right, if you have money problems, check your teeth, right? That's yours, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Because of, yeah, teeth is really, like that's like, for example, that I said before, you know, like Jupiter in the 6th house. So that's where you use your intuition, right? There is a Uranian energy. I'm talking about Sag rising, you are Sag rising, I'm Sag rising, America is Sag rising, you know, Biden, whatever, everyone is Sag rising. Lately, I was like, oh, okay. So, but because of it's in my head. And when I saw someone right now, and I was like, oh, you have Jupiter, Uranus, you have a Sag rising, one of my clients. And I didn't say you're gonna get a new puppy for him, or I didn't see, because it could mean that, or your puppy could have a seizure or whatever. I said, oh, did you open a furniture store? Because guess what? Taurus, Jupiter, Uranus over there could be a furniture store. That was my intuition to see it, but guess what? It was a furniture store, right? Because so that's when it's coming in, but that is the interpretation when you have to really, you know, like listen to your intuition, what you start with, because it could mean like thousands of things and it could be interpreted. I don't know, have you ever been blamed or you know, like when you said the truth, you know, like those keyboard warriors coming in the toss, and you know, like they are like, oh my God, you're so negative, and you know, you are just trying to help, to be, you know, there for them and giving them an option in a snowstorm to have a snow gear on, and then they are accusing you to being negative, whatever. So that could be a little bit of like harsh and hard for us, you know, because it could take your courage away, and you know, like, I'm just willing to help here. Come on now. Then.
So what are some of the things that you bring into medical astrology and your consultations? You obviously, as one of the researchers that work with me, you do a lot more than medical astrology, and you're explaining the link between finance, right? What are some of the tools or things that you bring into how you look at charts that you find indispensable or extremely valuable? Like, you couldn't do it Kristina's way without blank.
All right, so here is my thing. When 20 minutes before.
There you go. Go ahead. Yeah.
20 minutes before I erect the chart, minimum 20 minutes before, because I always going to do a prayer. And I do that for Thoth and the moon god, right? Because I'm obsessed with the moon. So obviously I'm gonna pray for the moon god. But in medical, so in astrology, it's like I check the progress chart, I check everything, the solar return right away, because I need a holistic approach. If you only do transit also, I understand we are charging different fees, but I always check everything because I don't want to miss anything. Plus, I don't want to give a false information. So for example, I'm not willing to scare someone because, you know, people are very, very sensitive for this stuff. You know, that is hell, that is scary. It's very, very scary. Financial scary as well, but health is the scariest ever. So I definitely get, and if I see some kind of implication over there, oh my God, this could be a cancer over here, I check progress, solar return, and I go back to Placidus. Why? Because Placidus, there is the intercepted ruler, and I'm going to check, is it going to weaken or is it going to, you know, like actually make it stronger? So that is a, you know, and because I am trained by Chinese astrology as well, I always check, you know, like, are you a dragon? Are you, you know, like what kind of Chinese application do you have? And then I combine all, and then I'm gonna understand, is it applying, separating aspect? So I do check everything. And then I am like capable to do a whole holistic approach. You still have to tell them, listen, you do have a cyst, but it's going to go. I never going to say you're gonna die, first of all, because you are not God, and everybody could be the 3% of miracle who is, you know, who can heal, and there is miracles. It's not happening with everyone, but there is miracles, and you cannot take hope away from anyone ever. So I saw that on social media many times, like, oh my God, told something about my kid, never gonna talk, or, you know, like, and they don't finish because they want them to come back. I don't know what kind of readings they do, some people, but that is like really against of astrology law and moral and values. You cannot say that. You are not God. You have to let the people to take power into their hands and heal themselves, because that's the only healing going to occur when they are capable to heal themselves. You are just a guide. You are a co-pilot. I call myself a co-pilot. So I'm there to help you navigate, but that is in your hand, dude or woman. And you have to, are you gonna listen or you won't? But never take hope away. But yes, I do everything together because I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to hurt anyone. And actually, I'm still scared of that, And I had thousands and thousands of reading, but I'm always like, please, God, let me say the truth. But on the way they understand. So, when I approach to the reading, I ask them, are you ready for the truth? It's behind me. That's how I ask, because the hesitation of their answer, okay, can I be brutally honest with this person? Or can I be only beautifully polished, but, just nicely understanding? And yes, you need to go to the doctor. Yes, you have to go to a blood test, but just nicely, not to scare them. I would never scare anyone, for sure.
This makes me want to it has me thinking about a different video topic, but it goes to the ethics of just astrology in general, right? It's the idea of using astrology as a cliffhanger for another session. It's gross. I mean, I'll just say
disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to health related stuff, right?
But not only health, come on, Sama, even finances. Somebody is many times in trouble financially and they barely can pay the session, and you are going to use it like a cliffhanger. No, don't do that. It's ethically, that's what I told you. It's sacred, it's spiritual. I understand you have to live, you have to feed your family, to clothe yourself, to have a warm house, or but no.
That's good. You're like me in that way. Like I don't want to say this, but I'll put it out there. It's like, a session with me is an hour, but if we're not done, I mean, we're not. It's like people are coming, like you said, astrology in particular. It's very you mentioned the eighth house, right? It's very, people are looking to dive deep, right? And they're exposing themselves. And so it's like, to me, it's because it's an eighth house topic. I look at it like a surgery. I'm in here. Well, let's clean up whatever else we can clean up or address while we're here before we, put you back together, right? So it's interesting to hear that you have that similar kind of care and touch with your sessions as well. So that's,
the psychologist, my dear, like hour is up, therapy is over. No, it can't be that. However, there is a lot of people out there, unfortunately, who are actually preying on our good heart sometimes, and sometimes you have to set boundaries. So if you do have a client who is always overdone with half an hour,
that's a different thing. Yeah,
that's a different thing.
You have to control the frame, right? It's an hour. It's like or if it's 2 hours, whatever it is. Like if they're coming to you, part of what they're coming to you for is for you to manage that container. So it's up to you. Yeah. And all we're saying is, to intentionally cliffhang someone, it's just a gross thing. It's, time is time. No one's perfect at time management, but that's just how I feel about it. It's your interview. So
but I absolutely agree with this. This is gross. It's disgusting. It is like, come on now.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you, sharing your perspective. What are some, you mentioned some astrologers. Who are some people you admire or books you would recommend for people wanting to study medical astrology or financial astrology or astrology in general?
That is Robert Weinstein, definitely. And I'm an ISAR member. So last year was the conference, and there was a lot of amazing person. So I have to say, Chris Bernan is amazing. his podcasts are long, so sometimes, and I'm up to date. Can you believe that? I watched all of it. It's incredible. It's like 300 episodes, and sometimes it's very like hard to get there, whatever. But he has a lot of really good people over there, amazing, knowledgeable people. I was studying with Annie Botticelli, Nadia Shah, a lot with Nadia Shah. She has a lot of really amazing team there. I cannot, recommend everyone. But ISOR, if you are a member at ISOR, guys, it's only $75 a year, and you can actually borrow any books for free, all right? Plus, they have every single day free lectures. And if it's live, you can see it free. After that, you buy it for $3, whatever. So very, very good. Alan Clay, he's a New Zealand guy, an older man. I love his asteroids. He is so knowledgeable. He's so humble. Oh my God, he's such a nice guy, so humble. A lot of knowledge, very affordable prices for his books and everything. And Susan Gilbert.
Big fan of Susan.
Yeah. And she's fun. So the ISAR conference, she's fun. She's good to be around. She's just good to be around. I love her. And there was another lady, Christine. Let me see. I wrote her down. Skinner.
Yeah.
Oh my. She is with astrology. She's really good. And there is. I didn't mention. And of course, we studied with Victor. Yes, there it is. The navigation. We studied with Victor, and with Victor, I do love his slideshows. I'm very visual, and his slideshows are like absolutely amazing. He puts that into order for me. I just check the chart and it's in my head right away, like photographic memory. So I really like Victor, like slideshows. So there is a lot of people out over there who I studied with, truly, certification, and I became I just got certified from ratification. Chris Bernan and that chubby guy, I forgot his name, they did that, and he's very amazing, that chubby guy. Very, very knowledgeable, really nice, very humble guy. And they did that course, and it's amazing. It's long, and sometimes it's slow. So, okay, so let's do the test. And you are certified, so you do the test, 15 tests, something like that. But it's great. It's a lot of knowledge. So there is a lot of people, and sometimes you're not capable to all, right? Because during the years,
That's plenty. That's
so
plenty.
many.
Yeah.
I also love the way Lada talks. She is very, okay, I know what I like about Lada. She is absolutely okay with to say, oh, I didn't know about that. She has no shame to say, oh, that's wonderful. That's good to know. So she doesn't pretend she knows it all. She, in this case, and I like to listen because it's more like, okay, let's have a tea together, or we have some coffee together, and you're listening, and very, very, like you feel like we are in the same room kind of situation. Yeah. So, but there was a lot of people, but our class together was really good. It was a good challenge. It was a good race together. And you won, and that's congratulations. That was amazing. But I'm always up to a good challenge, so it's great.
Awesome. So it sounds like you do some relocation. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about anything else you have to offer, things that you have available, where they can find you, anything that you're up to, any projects that you're excited about? Let us know.
So, all right, I already wrote a book, and it's published, and it is very 8 house matters and 12 house matters. That's for teens. Let's talk about that. It's about taboos, and my writing name is Uma Kriko, and it is a little bit of fun with astrology also, but it is taboos about bullying, sex, death, addiction, and things like that. So that is for teenagers. But I do write other books. One of them is a movie script. The name is Pretend. and hopefully next year it will be out. And then I do have 2 astrology books. One is Asteroid and the other one is Astrology Uncensored, the radical honesty, because, you know, I'm not all like unicorn fart glitters over here. You know, I say the truth. And definitely people has to know that, you know, like there is ups and downs, like as above, so below. So they have to understand. And that is Astrology Uncensored. I really don't know the subtitle over there yet because I'm still, you know, it's like I'm going to publish around February. And the other one is an asteroid book and fixed stars, because I'm obsessed with asteroid and fixed stars, like truly obsessed, because it's giving a beautiful color and layer. And especially in medical astrology, there is a lot of asteroid, even financial astrology and career. But I do love electional astrology, medical astrology, you know, I do, and financial as well. But really, I truly like electional career. For example, a lot of young adults and teens, mothers coming to me because they don't know what's going on with the children, because they are not on the right path and they are acting up. And when I tell them, yeah, because of that's what's happening, you're pushing them to do baseball, they don't want to do baseball, you know. And then they are like, what? And then when they realize they want to do ballet, and then they happy and successful, then they are, oh my God, thank you so much, you know, like I would never, and he didn't dare to talk up, and you know, like things like that. So I really like, and you know, I can relate because I have 2 boys, 2 Taurus boys. So as a mother, I can relate to that, and I love that.
What's your website?
My website is urbanwitch.org. So I'm a witch and nothing to worry about it, because I'm a green witch, a sage woman, you know, someone who lives by miracles. I do my firesider. I have my Yule tree, not Christmas tree, Yule tree. So I do, you know, everything natural. So we go and, you know, try to collect mushrooms in the wood and things like that. So this is a witch, an urban witch, who is actually trying to live her life by miracles. Small, tiny joy in life. It's very important. Yes. And that's, you know, I'm going to send you my little, and another thing, and I hope it's coming through right now. A major newspaper, I'm not gonna say the name, but they picked me up right now, and they're going to actually merge together with an American. It's a Canadian, but they're gonna merge together with an American. And I'm doing the opening in Canada, and it's gonna be 2 full-page about my medical astrology and my astrological. So I'm gonna write for them.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Oh my
we'll
God, it's
keep an eye out for that. And people
time.
get medical astrology readings with you at urbanwitch, is it .com?
No, or urbanwitch.org.
urbanwitch.org. You can get medical astrology readings with my friend and researcher, Krisztina, and she will bring her entire wealth of knowledge, all her certifications from physical therapy, herbalism, being a licensed medical nurse in the States, and use all of that knowledge combined with medical astrology to help out anyone who might be interested in that. So pleasure to have you, Krisztina. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's an honor to be here again, and I hope I see you guys. And I do have a YouTube channel, and that is Cosmic Insight Astrology. If anyone would like to, you know, it's more like remedies, and it's daily as well, daily astrology, you know, but I give you a lot of remedies over there, and medical perspective and educational readings.
All right, you guys check that out, and more videos to come. Thanks for watching. Be well. One love to you all.
Thank you.